How are you? We are fine, thank you very much. Now we collected the information that I want to introduce to you. And of course, you are extremely anxious to know the latest information. What's happening with the Saddam International Airport and the other locations of the invasion. And therefore, I will give you information about what is going on coming from the American and the British cowards, the criminals, and what was our reaction and reply last night and this morning until now. They continued their usual procedures during this invasion. They are moving in small groups, moved by air and dropped by air. And they pick the location that helped them in their movement toward Baghdad. And it is the following locations between engagement and transportation or movement. Whether to occupy or to just move toward Baghdad. The first location is western of Iraq at the area of Haditha. The second is south of Kut. And the third location is Al-Hindiyah and Musayyab, between Karbala and Baghdad. Then the highway, the north of Baghdad, to Ghurib. And to the south of this area, 40 kilometers at the area of Yusufiyya. And west of Yusufiyya, area called Al-Amiriyya. Amiriyat al-Fallujah. And finally, their grave, the airport of Saddam Hussein. This is what happened between last night and the morning, the hours of this morning. Friday. West of Iraq in Haditha area. We decided in all this area that I will tell you what exactly happened in it. We'll report to you what happened there. We nailed down the forces of the invaders, the American and the British mercenaries. We nailed them down in their location in Haditha. There was a fierce battle, and we destroyed 4 personal carriers, armored personal carriers. And we killed everyone in it. South of Kut, between Al-Hay and the city of Al-Kut, After they were defeated last night by the Iraqis, they were followed and chased with our forces, and we destroyed 9 tanks and 1 armored personnel carrier and some smaller vehicles in Al-Musayib area between Karbala and Baghdad. They were engaged by the tribesmen. And the fighters of the Ba'ath Party and the Saddam Fidayin, and they caused them heavy casualties in personnel, in addition to weapons and equipments. The casualties were very high. Therefore, the invading forces withdrew to the area of Josh al-Sakhr after their defeat. Jof al-Sakhr, that's the name of the area, south of Al-Qadisiyah. And truly, right now, all what's left of their forces congregated or gathered there at the area of Jawf al-Sakhr. In Al-Yusufiyya, there was a very fierce battle between the units of the Iraqi armed forces and the cowards of the British and American invaders. And now, until the late afternoon, the fight is still continuing, and we contain them. And now, after we contained them and we denied them the freedom of movement in this area, now we are exhausting them through a war of attrition. In the area of Abu Ghraib, north of Baghdad, at 6 a.m. today, some of the units of the Republican Guard engaged some forces that were dropped by airplanes, airborne units, and we destroyed 6 tanks, 3 armored personnel carriers by the units of the Republican Guard. This force now is completely isolated from the forces that are located in the south of Saddam International Airport. They are both isolated from each other. In the Fallujah operation in Al-Yusufiyya, our forces waged an attack against the enemy, the British and American enemy. One column. It was only one column, our forces. And they caused huge casualties, which led the enemies to withdraw. After we fixed them, we contained them in these locations, we will continue attacking them. So they are becoming like in an isolated island. especially those at the Saddam International Airport. Those mercenaries were calculating that the other forces will be able to attach itself to them in the Saddam airport. They dropped 5 columns. They were expecting they will have a connection or they will meet the other columns surrounding the area. All our military activities with the people and the other fighters and the Fidayeen, all of these formations and forces throughout yesterday, all our efforts was to separate these forces and contain them and deny them movements. And by this morning we succeeded in these tasks. So now those mercenaries who made the big mistake of coming to Saddam International Airport are completely isolated. And in order to make it easier on you and to explain it to you, let me remind you of one thing. It might help you in my explanation of what happened at the Saddam Hussein Airport. Those maybe most of you have watched the American movie Wag the Dog. I hope that those who watch this movie will remember number of their work, number of their activities last night and today remind me of what happened in the movie Wag the Dog. Our initial estimates, the most possible scenario, that they will be kept in this isolated location. And we are well determined to keep them in this little island, isolated. Maybe tonight we will show them another side that they have never known before.
We are going to show them a second or another
it's like the Jamfu battle. Some of the Western reporters will remember it. Our initial estimates, it will be very difficult that any of them will stay alive after what we will do tonight. Unless they immediately surrender. They are completely surrounded. This morning, by accurate calculations, the number of the personnel carriers that was destroyed with the personnel inside, 8 armored vehicles, personnel carriers. And the number of tanks that they did all that to bring here, all of them were destroyed. 12 tanks. Tonight, we will do to them something very unconventional. Meaning not conventional. Military action that's not even going to be done by military people. Something will be done to them, will cost them all their life. Those mercenaries. And I'm not going to reveal secrets because working in the dark is very good with this type of people. But it is not the kind of military that armies will do. Not the action that might be done by an army. It's something unconventional. And I'm telling you that dropping those scenarios or just like that in the Saddam airport, all of a sudden, without real calculations, is type of the operation that are done for show. So it is just to flex muscles in front of the world. To show the world that the shock and horror campaign is succeeding. The shock and awe campaign is succeeding. So they drop some of their mercenaries to claim false victory. I don't think my initial calculations, I do not expect any of their soldiers will remain alive unless they immediately surrender. They have no chance. The surprising element here that they would drop their soldiers like that without any estimate to what might happen to them. Those cowards like Colin Powell. He's talking now about how they're going to divide Iraq after the war. What is post-war that he's talking about? Post-war is Iraq is the same under the leadership of President Saddam Hussein. This is post-war Iraq. And we will chase them all over the world as war criminals with the help of all the freedom fighters in the world. And there is a lot of them. They just need someone to put the bill around the neck of their neck. And now we are putting the ring around their neck to save the United Nations from these people. And after the failure of the Iraq invasion by those Americans and British, the United States will never become a world power again. Their deterioration and collapse will be very fast. Those cowards who came from Europe and America and they want to have a psychological warfare waged against us to inflict destruction on us, I am telling them, wait, don't be in a hurry. Don't be hasty because your disappointment is great. And this war, this aggression against Iraq, you will not get anything out of it but shame and defeat. Iraq is continuing to exist, and it will exist, and existed for thousands of years unlike those Americans and the British.
would change Iraq. None of the attempts of the Americans.
In Al-Basra
In the Basra
sector,
sector,
they tried those American and British losers
desert animals have tried
several times to reach and approach the Al-Basra city from various points of approaches. And we know about several battles in different directions. Participated in it our army and our Fidai forces and our Fidai Saddam units and fighters from the tribesmen of Al-Basra area and the fighters of Al-Baath party and a number of suicide bombers who came from other Arab countries. And in these three approach points that we heard about, there were three battles. One of them, they tried to approach from the area of the Al-Basra International Airport.
Basra city from the direction of the Basra International Airport.
And that costed them 6 tanks destroyed.
The 6 of their tanks were destroyed.
With the crews inside them, armored personnel carrier with the personnel inside them. And it seems like there was also some British intelligence officers in a Land Rover. They were inside a Land Rover 4-wheel, and we destroyed all these and we killed all the people inside them. Yesterday also we dropped a Black Hawk helicopter in the area of Karbala. Finally, I would like to add at the end of my remarks that those criminals of the American administration, the cowards of the American administration, if they think that they are doing a wag dog to lie to the world, to come to Saddam International Airport, I would like to send them my condolences from this press conference. And I will continue to give them the true information. How many of their coward ones will be killed by the Iraqi army and the Iraqi forces. Welcome. I receive now your questions. The question is regarding Rumsfeld's remarks yesterday. Lies about the airports. And what's your answer to it? I would like first to thank your network, Al-Manar of Lebanon, and to send my greeting to Hezbollah in Lebanon, those great warriors. And we are with you, and we are with you to defend the Islamic nation and to defeat those infidels. As for Iraq, those coward ones, they denied, but then they admitted that they destroyed the electricity in Baghdad, so they will be able to drop forces safely and to be able to chase, as they said, with all their arrogance, to chase the Iraqi leadership. And that happens not only in Baghdad. Those coward ones, those people, can do only these dirty tricks. They are dirty politicians. They are the lowest type of human beings. And our destiny is to fight those ones. They did the same thing, not only in Baghdad. I told you several times what they do. They get fiberglass and they throw it around the electricity networks. First, they hit the TV, the new one, the TV building, those cowards. And they hit the electricity station in Al-Qadisiyah, south of Iraq. Can we get a translation, please? This was a question about the electricity, whether it was done by our side or their side. And the minister explained to you that it was done by them through fiberglass. They throw fiberglass on the electric networks to disable it. And they claim that they did that to chase the leadership of Iraq. They done that not only in Baghdad, but also in Qadisiyah. And they do it by throwing amounts of fiberglass. The second part of the question. Just a minute, please. Because the second part is about Rumsfeld's comments yesterday. Oh, yes. Now we call him Mr. Ayatollah Rumsfeld. We call him Ayatollah Rumsfeld. This coward, this cheap one, was answered by our great religious leaders, the Ayatollahs. And they answered him enough. Rumsfeld has said that Ayatollah Ali Sistani, has told the Iraqi people to not to stand in the way of the coalition forces. And he denied that he said that. And simply, Rumsfeld is lying. I answered this question before and it's translated. Next. They dropped 5 columns. The question was about the amount of forces that was dropped. They dropped it by parachutes? No, not by parachutes. They come with huge transportation airplanes.
I don't know what they call it. Anyway, they are mercenaries.
I don't know what they call themselves, but in my book they are mercenaries. Last night you told us go to the airport. Yes, go. Well, okay, but today you're telling us that there are forces in the airport. So you're telling us now that the American troops are out of the airport and we can go back to the airport? Is that what you're telling us?
Well, I'm not going to answer a question relating to our tactics and
Well, I'm not prepared to answer questions regarding of our military planning. Another question from BBC. I thought you said something about that you're going to be using unconventional weapon. No, I said it's going to be what happened in Indochina. So are you telling me that you're going to use non-conventional weapons? No, not at all, not at all. But it's type of mortar operations, maybe. Very, very well new ways of operation. A question from a Western reporter, and he dismissed it. No. It is a simple game. I'm not going to tell the details, but just wait and see. And we have said it before. Let me just tell you this. They have never surprised us. Not one thing that they have done surprised us so far. Because our leadership, our commanders were calculating everything that will happen. For a simple reason. From certain places, the geography is open. So they thought that our forces' reaction will be as usual, in a normal manner. So we go to these open, geographically open areas, and they start picking us up. But we denied those mercenaries the success of this theory or this doctrine. And they did not enjoy their illusions. There have been reports that about 3 American casualties in a suicide bombing. Well, I am very sad. They were not 30 ones. They were only 3. Next time, we will try to make 30 instead of 3. Any details? No, I'm not going to tell you any details. Next, I'm not going to answer this one either.
I will leave it to you to judge.
I will leave it to you to judge. Take my words and take their words and compare it and come to your own conclusion. Next question, please. Soon, I think. Just to clean it from those mercenaries soon, and we will take you back to the airport. 1 minute, please. I don't have such information about Iraqi evacuation of civilians. Not yet. There are fighting going on, and after the fight is finished, I will take you there. By Allah, we will kill the rest of them, and then we will take you there. Thank you.